The Economy Minister, Nadia Calviño, has now taken on the task as #2 Prime Minister, first Deputy Prime Minister. She was the ideal person to speak to during the course of the week. With the situation in Spain worsening, with the country now open, and with tourism being so important, I asked the Economy Minister, what next in this crisis of COVID?
It's the moment of truth for Spain and its economy. Recently, the country has had one of Europe's highest COVID infection rates. And yet Spain has lifted national restrictions and opened the country up to most vaccinated travellers. It's with this in mind that Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has reshuffled his cabinet. The Finance Minister, Nadia Calviño, now also becomes the first Deputy Prime Minister. It's a sign the economy will play a central part in the government's thinking. GDP shrank last year as Spain endured one of Europe's toughest lockdowns. Its tourism industry has been pummeled. It used to make up 14% of the economy before COVID. And the virus still looms large, even with nearly half of the country fully vaccinated. Some regions are now reimposing restrictions. When I spoke to the Finance Minister, she said Spain would soon be an engine of growth for Europe.
So indeed, we are right now being hit by the Delta variant, and that is having an increase in the number of cases, but it is quite targeted to the young people under 30 are those that are now suffering the disease. And of course, the impact in terms of hospital cases and intensive care unit use is not comparable to the previous waves. And that is thanks to the vaccination rate. Spain is one of the countries that's having the fastest rate of vaccination. We are now around 60% of the population already with one shot and 46% with two shots. We're moving very fast. And thus, we think that very soon we will reach a situation that will certainly make it a very different impact and allow us to resume tourism and mobility in a very safe environment.
There seems to be a new understanding. You know, I look at the UK where the prospect of 100,000 cases, but still opening. I look here in Spain where numbers are going up, but there's no talk of further restrictions. Are we moving to a situation of a chronic disease, one where we accept that there will be many cases, but they won't be serious and they won't put the healthcare network under undue pressure, and that's the way we'll just have to live with vaccinations?
Well, it would be a bit daring because I'm not an expert on the medical side, you know, so I wouldn't like to use expressions that maybe can be misunderstood. But what is clear is that the vaccine is a game changer, that since the month of March, we saw that the progress with vaccination was also making us go into a different phase in terms of the economic recovery. The Spanish economy is recovering very strongly. Everybody's foreseeing a very strong growth in 2021 and 2022, that Spain will be one of the engines of growth in Europe and worldwide. And that is, I think, the new situation. We have to be prudent because the virus is still amongst us, but it looks like national tourism is going to be very dynamic, and some of our strongest tourism markets, such as the UK, are also going to be resuming their growth this year, and that will bring us, you know, to a growth pattern that we're really looking forward to.
So let's talk about the economy. First of all, you're going to receive up to 140 billion euros in recovery funds, if you will. This is an opportunity. How, and I know that the Prime Minister, in promoting yourself, has called, congratulations on that, is calling it a government of recovery. How do you anticipate spending that money?
Well, the Spanish recovery plan, which indeed was approved yesterday by the European institutions, and that paves the way for the first transfers of 9 billion euros and then 10 billion euros in the course of this year to flow, The Spanish recovery plan is particularly ambitious, I think, from a three-pronged perspective. First of all, in quantitative terms, because indeed Spain can receive up to 140 billion euros between now and 2026, 70 billion in transfers. So it's a very, very large amount, which corresponds more or less to what Spain has been receiving in structural funds since we joined the Union in 1986. And that has been a formidable change for Spain, you know, driving prosperity and growth. It is also ambitious in the qualitative, from the qualitative point of view, because it's an ambitious program of structural reforms. And then thirdly, time-wise, we want to front-load these investments and reforms so that most of it is done 2021 and 2023 to have a structural change.
You know, in the United States, they have the infrastructure bill, as you're well aware, going through Congress and being debated, and this, that, and the other. As I get it, as I understand it, for politicians like yourselves, this is a key moment, one in which, for valid reasons of recovery, large sums are being made available in a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Do you see it that way?
Absolutely, yes. I think it's a unique window of opportunity to make the right decisions for the future, you know, to launch this large investment program and also to undertake the structural reforms that have been delayed for years. And so put the Spanish economy on a more sustainable track in the long run.
What message do you think the Prime Minister was sending with this? You know, I'm not an expert on Spanish politics, but I have read enough about this to know it was one of the widest ranging, deepest and most significant cabinet reshuffles in modern Spanish history. So what message was being sent?
Well, I think the key message that's being sent is that this is the government for the economic recovery, economic and social recovery of Spain. We have been suffering a terrible months, you know, as a consequence of the pandemic. I think this is not unique in Spain. You know, all countries and all governments have been under enormous stress. And this reshuffling is putting the first vice presidency in the hands of or under the responsibility of the economics minister. I am responsible also for digitalization, which is also a sign of how important this is in our political priorities. And secondly, it is bringing to the cabinet younger persons, many women, even more women, making it probably the most feminist or female, or that the government with the largest female representation in the world, probably. And so the message is one of, we have new energy to face the final part of our mandate and to make sure that Spain has a strong recovery that puts us on the track for a sustainable and fair growth going forward.
The recently promoted new First Deputy Prime Minister, who's also the Economy Minister, on the Government for Recovery here in Spain.